What is the octagon? I haven't heard about that yet.
Oh my... I can't believe I have to explain that now. As long as you know what an octagon means, you can solve... I see!
If I recall, an octagon is a shape with 8 sides, right?
I didn't expect you to know that. For a substitute reserve course student, you're quite knowledgeable. I guess I should continue listening. Where is the place befitting of the name Octagon? Crap! 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 Here!
You're talking about the secret room surrounded by concrete in the depths of the final dead room.
Why is that place the octagon?
You know how the 4-sided strawberry house is on top of the 6-sided grape house? If you cut a 4-sided shape out of a 6-sided one, you get 8 edges. It becomes an 8-sided shape.
That's basically the gist of it. The true identity of the octagon is that secret room in the depths of the final dead room. In actuality, that place contained various weapons.
Then the ultimate weapon was there too?
That's a little different. I learned the true identity of the ultimate weapon at the octagon.
Learned?
The true identity of the ultimate weapon is the FunHouse. Which means the killer used the building structure as their weapon and killed Nekomaru. Like me, the killer, probably realized the secret of the funhouse from the scenery, and then thought of a way to kill making use of the building structure.
The funhouse itself is the weapon, so they killed using the building structure?
That's why the killer tried to keep us from learning the mystery of the building. But more importantly, using the building itself as a weapon? Such a spectacular crime. It truly deserves to be called the ultimate weapon.
Hiya! Huh? Okay, everyone, all together now!
Hello! I hope your day is well. I'm trying to force myself to be more energetic, or else my mental state won't be able to keep up. Ugh, my heart's thumping like crazy. I might as well have a laid-back, so what attitude and go ahead with high energy. Yeehaw! Ah, but be careful that your batteries don't run out for various reasons. And just like I say each time,
I never expected the funhouse itself to be the ultimate weapon. Oh well, let's just press on ahead.
Is it really alright to accept a situation so easily?
I mean, that's not what's important. The thing that's really important is the killer who used the building structure. Like, who's Mekumaru's murderer?
But is it really okay to believe the building is the weapon? Nagito said it, you know.
There's no way I'd lie at such an important moment. I don't...
What happened to the bastard who kept saying how much they didn't mind dying?
He's right. There was a time when I thought I could become a stepping stone for your hopes, but I will sincerely retract that remark.
Retract.
I'm disappointed too, you know. If this was a murder for the sake of hope, I'd happily sacrifice myself.
You say such falsehoods, per usual. There is no such thing as murder for the sake of hope. Murder is simply forcibly sacrificing others for one's own desires. Even one as diabolical as I would avoid such actions.
I see.
It's fine. Let's just leave him alone and find out who killed Coach Nekomaru as fast as we can. Just so you know, it's not like I'm getting hungry or anything.
Akane! You were drooling waterfalls?
Anyway, if the killer used the building structure, why don't we think about how they used it?
How they killed Nekomaru.
It might be better if we clarify the cause of death first, don't you think?
I see!
That's it. I think he might have died from falling.
Died from falling?
If the Funhouse's secret is that it's a structure where both towers and houses are vertically connected, then the killer made use of its height and caused Nekomaru to die from falling.
Are you saying they pushed him off? Where'd they push him off from?
That I don't know yet.
Don't just make things up when you don't know the method. Where in that building would you even be able to push someone off in the first place?
It might be possible in the tower. You could push him off the 4th floor when the elevator is on the 1st floor.
Did you forget how the elevator functions? When it's on the 1st floor, the door on the 4th floor won't open.
Saying he died from falling is truly incorrect. You should burn in the flames of hell.
But my gut is going crazy right now. You can't go through the door on the 4th floor, huh?
It'd be impossible to shove off the victim from up there.
Then, how about this? After locking Mekamaru inside the elevator, and made use of the drop.
Hold on! Did you forget the elevator has a sensor? As long as there's a moving object inside, the other door won't open. Which means the elevator wouldn't have moved either.
That must be the threshold of that elevator.
When the elevator is on the 1st floor, you can't go through the door on the 4th floor, huh?
It'd be impossible to shove off the victim from up there.
Then, how about this? After locking Mekamaru inside the elevator, they moved the elevator from the 4th floor to the 1st floor and made use of the drop.
Hold on! Did you forget the elevator has a sensor? As long as there's a moving object inside, the other door won't open. Which means the elevator wouldn't have moved either.
That must be the threshold of that elevator.
When the elevator is on, you can't go through the door.
It'd be impossible to shove off.
Then, After locking they moved the elevator and made use of the drop.
Hold on, did you forget the elevator has a sensor? As long as there's a moving object inside.
No, that's wrong! That sensor should only work if something is moving. If Nekomaru wasn't moving inside, the elevator sensor wouldn't have detected anything.
Could it be his sleep mode?
When Nekomaru's goodnight button is pressed, all of his functions shut down, and he enters sleep mode. If he's in sleep mode, the elevator sensor wouldn't have noticed him.
I see. So that's how...
However, even if they moved the elevator in that manner, Nekomaru would have just moved along with it. There would have been no drop for him to fall and die from, yes?
That's what I was about to explain, before Kazuichi interrupted me.
Silence, pest!
Now you're calling me a pest?
If you arrange it a certain way, you can cause the drop within the elevator.
So you're telling us all to think about the arrangement, right?
That arrangement is...
The hammer is suspicious.
Isn't it about time we went over the pillar again?
What about the oil on the floor?
The doorknob on the floor seems suspicious.
I agree with that! Didn't the doorknob have scrape marks on it? That might have been where it got scraped by the wire.
Is that the same wire that was tied around Nekomaru?
The tip of that wire was tied into a loop. If the elevator moved while that loop part hung from the doorknob...
If they did something like that, he would have been suspended in midair!
That's right. He was suspended in midair.
Huh?
The killer tied up Nekomaru with the wire while he was in sleep mode. Tied the tip of the wire into a knot, and hung it on the doorknob to the 4th floor. With that, they moved the elevator from the 4th floor to the 1st floor of Grape Tower. And suspended Nekomaru in midair.
That's right! He was so well hung! Kinda like...
You better not finish that sentence!
The killer took advantage of the elevator's unique feature. Only the floor moves. By doing that, they created a drop so Nekomaru could fall to his death.
Too easy. So what if they created a drop? There's no way you can make him fall and die with just that.
Why?
If Nekomaru is suspended in midair like that, then how do you get him to fall? Because if he's suspended in midair, he won't die if he doesn't actually fall. Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a wire, how would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that.
I can't back down!
Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a wire, how would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that.
It doesn't mean someone had to push him off. It's possible that he fell on his own.
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep. If he was sleeping, there's no way he could do that to himself.
Damn it!
Even if they suspended Nekomaru from a wall, how would they make him fall? There's no one in the tower to push him off. There's no way they could do that.
It doesn't mean someone had to push him off. It's possible that he fell on his own.
What? Nekomaru fell on his own?
Crap!
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right?
Crap!
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right?
Crap!
What? Nekomaru fell on his own?
Crap!
What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode, right? If he was sleeping, there's no way he could do that to himself. Now's the time, but in that case, you still won't be able to explain the drop. Moving the elevator with Nekomaru inside is just impossible. End of story. What? Nekomaru fell on his own? Nekomaru should have still been in sleep mode.
Allow me to cut through those words. What do you think would happen if Nekomaru woke up while he was suspended upside down in midair?
What are you saying? Like, how would he even wake up?
He has an alarm inside his body. As long as it was armed, it would have deactivated his sleep mode. Which means the killer set the alarm before they suspended Nekomaru.
If you woke up from an alarm and realized you were hanging upside down and had no clue why, if something like that happened to you, you would start panicking a lot, right? Instinctively, your body would start moving. Nekomaru probably did exactly that.
And then, in order to make him fall from the force he was generating, the wire was hung on the tip of the doorknob so it would easily slip off. In actuality, the scrape marks caused by the wire were near the tip of the doorknob, right?
But Nekomaru didn't fall because the wire came off, right?
He fell because the entire doorknob came off.
When Nekomaru awoke, he must have struggled much more than expected, which caused the doorknob to break off.
Was that unexpected for the killer too?
Well, that's probably it. If they knew it'd leave behind evidence like that, they would have at least tried to do something to cover it up.
I see. So that's how Nekomaru fell to his death.
Do you finally understand now?
Yeah. It appears it's just as Miss Sonia said. I'm just a pest. No, I'm not just a pest. I'm a total fucking pig. Isn't that right, Miss Sonia? If I'm a fucking pig, you can say so.
No, I believe you gave your all.
Hey, why aren't you teasing me anymore?
This guy. He gets off on this!
So thanks to that alarm, Nekomaru ended up falling while he was still hanging upside down. That doesn't mean he just crashed straight into the floor. Of course, you know that too, right?
I see! When Nekomaru fell to the floor, he ended up colliding with the pillar. Isn't that it?
Finally, the pillar!
So that's how the pillar shattered, and why oil was spilled all over the place.
See, I told you the pillar was the weapon. My gut was totally right.
Well, the pillar was a bonus. It's not even clear if the killer intended that, or if it was just a coincidence.
At this point, it is quite difficult to find a clue that will lead to the killer.
Then what about the alarm? I'm positive the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m. And if we map it out from there...
Hold on, baby gangsta.
Stop calling me baby gangsta!
What'd you just say? Did you say the alarm was set for 7:30 a.m.?
You didn't check it yourself? Nekomaru's alarm was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nah, that's impossible. 'Cause even though I slept in a little, I still got to the tower at 7 in the morning.
Now that you mention it, so did I. There was no way I could be late for Monokuma Tai Chi, so I left for Grape Tower before 7 a.m.
And if we found Nekomaru's body there, it would have been before the 7:30 a.m. alarm went off.
It appears yet another contradiction has been birthed. How were you able to discover Nekomaru died at 7:30 a.m. when you went to the tower at 7?
That's what I want to know!
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
His time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tampering. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest. That's gotta be it!
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru...
His time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tampering. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
That's gotta be it!
We headed for Grape Tower before 7 a.m., I am certain.
But the alarm inside Nekomaru's chest was set for 7:30 a.m.
Nekomaru died because of that alarm, right?
His time of death and the time the body was discovered. One of those must be an illusion.
The killer probably did some tampering. They probably messed with the clock inside Nekomaru's chest.
No, that's wrong! No, the clock inside his chest was a radio clock, so it would have been impossible to mess with.
So you're saying there's no way the killer could have tampered with the clock?
Maybe the clock Miss Sonia saw was the one that got tampered with.
The clock inside Grape House?
No, I checked all the clocks inside the funhouse.
Oh, that's what I asked you to do. So you really listened to me and checked all the clocks.
And because of that, I can confidently declare that all the clocks had the same time displayed.
If there's no possibility that the time was tampered with, then we must doubt that human's testimony.
Please believe me, we are not lying.
Then maybe it's a misunderstanding?
I never misunderstand. I'll crush you into dog food.
It's all coming together! You said you checked all the clocks inside the building. Isn't that right, Fuyuhiko?
Yeah, none of the clocks had the wrong time.
But what if all those clocks have been messed with?
What? All the clocks?
So even if you checked all the clocks inside the building, there's no way...
I see. So the killer messed with the time inside the whole building by changing all the clocks.
So that's what it was. There's no way I would have noticed that.
This is truly fantastic.
Now's not the time to be pleased. More importantly, how much was the time off?
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time would 7:30 be in our time?
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow that down?
If only I heard the sound when he fell. It would have been a great clue.
Or his scream.
He's not the type to let out a scream.
If only Nekomaru's alarm was loud enough, we would have heard it too.
There's no point in saying that. If does not exist in this world.
If the time in the building was all messed up, then we can only rely on Nekomaru's radio clock.
The time of death was clearly 7:30 a.m.
The problem is, what time would 7:30 be in our time?
Are there any clues that can be used to narrow that down?
If only I heard the sound when he fell.
I agree with that. That's right. We should have heard the sound he made when he fell. Wasn't it that rumbling noise?
Rumbling?
I thought it was just an earthquake, so I went back to sleep. Was that the sound from when Nekomaru fell?
Well, a huge body fell from the 4th floor to the 1st, and the pillar fell with it. It's obvious we'd hear the impact sound.
We heard that noise too.
It was when we were gathered at the Strawberry House Lounge. What is it, Sonia?
Oh, well. That sound everyone heard? I did not hear it at all.
Huh?
You probably didn't hear it because you were sleeping.
I could not sleep at all. I was awake the whole night with hunger pangs.
There's nothing to worry about. What's important is that rumbling noise anyway.
If we use that rumbling sound as a reference, we might be able to figure out how much our time was off.
I heard that sound probably around 5:30 in the morning.
Huh? You can tell?
I instantly woke up and left my room. And that's when I saw the clock in the lounge.
Excellent work, Akane!
I see! Nekomaru's alarm went off at 7:30, and if we heard the sound of his impact at 5:30, that means our time was off by 2 hours.
2 hours? That much?
We were starving pretty badly. There's no way we would have noticed.
Plus, the funhouse has no windows. And there weren't any Monokuma announcements either.
However, for what reason did the killer alter our perception of time?
The reason is obvious. So they can lure out just Nekomaru. If you messed with the clocks and used a specific thing, You definitely get Nekomaru to the tower alone, right? From there, the killer's plan was a splendid success. That's all it means.
I see! That's it. The killer made use of the Monokuma Tai Chi activity in the morning.
How did they use it?
We were required to go to Grape Tower every morning at 7 a.m. for that activity, right? But if they mess with all the clocks inside the building, what would that do to us?
We wouldn't be able to attend on time, but that wouldn't affect Nekomaru. His radio clock had the exact time.
That's right. In doing so, the killer was able to lure him to the tower by himself at the precise time.
Then, when I witnessed Nekomaru early in the morning...
If I recall, you witnessed Nekomaru around 5 a.m. And if that time was also 2 hours off, it should have been 7 a.m. At that time, he was heading over to Monokuma Tai Chi.
I see. Now that I think about it, I realize what Monokuma meant when he said those words.
Too early. He didn't even ask you yet.
When you said everyone, you were including us, right? We thought we came to the tower on time, but in truth, it was way past the meeting time.
Ah, jeez! That's, well, how should I put it? What was it? You know, tripping over a foot, or...
Are you talking about tripping over someone else's fault?
Wrong! Too bad!
Liar! I'm right!
That's not it!
That's definitely the correct answer.
Let's just ignore the peanut gallery. Now that we've found out how the killer lured Nekomaru, the number of suspects has drastically decreased.
Hey, why would that decrease the number of suspects? Don't be a friggin' liar!
You'll know I'm not lying when you listen to what Fuyuhiko's going to say next.
Huh? What the hell do you mean?
You witnessed Nekomaru going toward the tower. Did something else happen after that?
Are you talking about that alarm?
Alarm?
A little while after I witnessed Nekomaru, the clock in the Strawberry House lounge started going off. Plus, it was just before that rumbling sound occurred. That's it. So that's what it is. If Nekomaru died when the rumble happened, then whoever doesn't have an alibi at the time is the prime suspect.
Really? Was there anyone who didn't have an alibi at that time?
I remember now. The sound was so loud I couldn't help bolting from my room. But there was one guy who never left the lounge. We were both on the same floor. It's pretty weird that bastard never came out of his guest room.
Which means that person does not have an alibi for when Nekomaru fell?
Who is it? Who's the bastard?
You're the only one! The one who wasn't there. It's you, right, Nagito?
That's right. Nagito wasn't there. It was just me, Gundam, and Fuyuhiko.
You didn't come out, even though the alarm was going off like crazy. You weren't in your room, were you?
If that's the case, where were you?
Please, say something!
If you don't hurry up and answer, I'm gonna suicide dive you!
If I may be frank, even if I wanted to go to the lounge, I couldn't.
You couldn't? What do you mean?
It's merely the foolish...
Not only did I not hear the alarm, I never even heard that rumbling sound.
You're definitely fucking lying.
However, that is also true for me. It is obvious that I did not hear the alarm in Strawberry House. But I did not hear the rumbling sound either. Is that not strange? I mean, everyone else heard it.
To be honest, it's not just them. The same goes for me too. I was in a pretty deep sleep, so I thought that's why I couldn't hear it. It wasn't that. I probably couldn't hear it at all.
Couldn't hear it? What does that mean?
You still don't know. Think about what the three of us who didn't hear a sound have in common, and I'm sure you'll figure it out.
I got it! Nagito, Sonia, and Chiaki, the three of you were staying in deluxe rooms, right? If I recall, the deluxe rooms are...
The reason we could not hear the rumbling noise...
That's right. It was because the deluxe rooms have superior sound insulation. You actually noticed that. Nice catch, Hajime. Are you using your ultimate reserve corps student? Now then, you guys must understand by now, right? The true identity of Nekomaru's...
Oh, hold on a sec! Why does that lead to who the killer is?
Why? Well, that fact just now is a very important clue, and a decisive factor in identifying the killer.
Decisive factor?
Crap! 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 You're the only one! Gundam, there's something I want to ask you. When the alarm rang at the Strawberry House Lounge, you rushed over there too, right?
What's wrong with that? If the bell of catastrophe rings throughout the night, it is the universe's providence to...
Why were you able to hear it?
Hear what?
I mean, you were also staying in a deluxe room, right? Nagito was staying in a deluxe room in the same house on the same floor, and he couldn't even hear it. So why were you able to hear that alarm?
Huh? Now that you mention it...
Gundam?
There is only one possibility. You weren't in your room at the time. That's why, even though you were staying in a deluxe room, you still went to the lounge. Am I right?
Gundam, you have some sort of explanation, right?
Gundam probably couldn't return to his room because of Fuyuhiko.
Me?
After you saw Nekomaru heading to the tower, you stayed at the lounge for a while. Am I correct? Until the moment that alarm started ringing, right? If you were in the lounge for that long, the killer who had left earlier obviously wouldn't be able to go back.
Even though Mekamaru's murder was a death trap that utilized the alarm in his chest, the killer still needed to prepare the murder in advance.
Like putting Nekomaru in sleep mode and tying him up with the wire.
In order to do that, the killer needed to be waiting for Nekomaru at the tower. Which means when Fuyuhiko witnessed Nekomaru, the killer was already at the tower.
And once they tried to go back, they couldn't because Fuyuhiko was at the lounge.
In their original plan, the killer should have returned to their room before the alarm in the lounge went off. And they were supposed to stay in their room. They weren't planning to come out and go to the lounge.
Which means they wouldn't have heard the alarm or the rumbling sound, thus proving they were in the room.
Just like us.
The best case scenario would have been if those two in the lounge had gone to check the deluxe rooms. After all, if they personally saw the killer sleeping in their room, it gives the killer a stronger alibi. Unfortunately, they failed to secure that alibi.
Because I was in the lounge.
So the killer couldn't go back to their room, and ended up hearing the lounge's alarm.
But why'd you come out? You should have hid till the excitement died down.
If Gundam tried to hide, and if those two went to his room to check on him, he would have been found out. That would have been the worst possible outcome. That's why he couldn't just stay hidden.
If those two had just checked the deluxe rooms as planned, that would have been ideal, but how ironic. The moment Fuyuhiko set foot in the lounge, your plan was doomed.
Gundam? Please, can you at least say something?
Answer me this. Including myself and my 4 dark devas of destruction, how many ears do we possess?
Huh?
The answer is 10. That's right, I possess 10 ears.